What's the creepiest haunting slash spirit experience you've ever had? I've had some spooky interactions. I can't say which was the creepiest, but this one is up there. One time, I was in my car parked on the street at night, and I felt a weird sensation, like tiny hands all over my shoulder. I looked back, and saw some light shining through the rustling leaves of a tree. The patterns of light and dark transformed into the forms of men walking in front of a campfire. They wore loincloths and buckskins, and were painted and carried hatchets. It was a war party. Behind them, near the fire, an old woman held a child by the feet, and she smacked the child into a wooden post, killing it instantly. I sort of yelled, and the patterns dissolved back into leaves. My dad told me this when I was younger, but when he was in his 20s, he was living in a rent apartment with his girlfriend, and at this time waterbs were the thing to have. Well, one night they're getting ready to go to sleep and all of a sudden they feel something hit the bed from underneath. They get up to investigate, and of course they don't find anything, so they get back in bed and think nothing of it. This continued to happen a couple more times until all of a sudden there was a big hit from underneath. They turn on the lights, and in the middle of the bed is the imprint of a fist. He said that he could see each individual knuckle. They got the apartment blessed by a priest, and it stopped after that. Ouija boards. I'll tell the story if people ask. Please, 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 please. I had just gotten the Ouija board. It looked fake and I didn't believe any propaganda. I took it out, sat in my living room and started playing by myself. Nothing at first, until I felt it move to yes after I asked if anyone was there. I jumped back and asked if they were a good spirit. The planchette went to no. Without me saying anything, it started going in figure eights. That's a sign of a very dangerous spirit. I panicked, said goodbye and have not touched the board since. I didn't get haunted or anything. It did give me nightmares for a while though. Not my story, but before I was born my mother, father, brother, and sister lived in a really old house. Before I was born, my dad used to collect these very small, porcelain pigs that they displayed on the furniture that the television was on. And every morning, when they got up, each of the pigs were facing the door to the right. My dad would get up early to change them around, so it wouldn't scare my brother or sister. My family brushed it off for a small while, but it eventually escalated to knocking, and the pigs being knocked on the floor. It stopped when my mother and father had gotten a priest to bless the house. I'm sure there's more to it. It was a while since my mother had told me the story, but that's the gist. It was 2015. Me and my friends were 14, and we were into metal and rock music. One band that had us really attracted to it was Ghost B.C. Later they changed their name in Ghost Only. Some songs were pretty much satanic and stuff, but those were lyrics only. We were pretty much big fans of it, so we had every single song downloaded in our smartphones. One day, we were cruising down the street and we were passing by the church. Not a minute had passed, my friend noticed a weird noise in his pocket. As he reaches his pocket, he looked at us in very surprisingly way. He then pulls out his phone that was playing a ghost song. We were extremely shocked and spooked because the phone played the song by itself. The song name? Satan Prayer. I was drifting off to sleep one night when I heard Dawood really quietly. It happened again, but was so quiet, barely audible. I get up and check the little kid's room next to ours. Nothing there, asleep. Walk to the other end of the house. Dead silence. I walk back to my bed. Hear it again. Recheck the kids. Still asleep, haven't moved. I stand in the hall for a few minutes. Finally I hear it again. In my bedroom. Behind me. I'm freaking out. I turn around. No kids. Curled up, on the foot of my bed, is our old cat with a weird snore that sounds exactly like a little kid saying "Dad." He slept in the living room the rest of the night. I've lived in 3 houses now where people have died, although not by violence. Never felt saw or heard anything unnatural. Ever since I was a kid, I always saw a black figure. When I was 3, I told my mum. A couple years back, I told her, and she said she remembers me saying I saw him as a kid. This black figure looked like a hooded guy. He had a scythe. I kinda think that it was the Grim Reaper or something, because I have avoided death, but I don't know. Another time I had a glass plate thrown at me and shatter right above my head mid-air. Nobody was home. When I was younger, I was laying in bed and looking at my phone. Then I started to hear sounds coming out of my closet behind me. It got really loud and I was quite scared, but I still walked right towards it. I opened the door and my cat jumped out of it right on me. Another time when I was about 9 years old, I was sitting on the toilet pooping when saw a hand in another room when I was the only one upstairs. Got up with my pants down and ran away crying. Here's some stories from my job. Receipt printer at the pizza making station launched off the shelf into the sauce bucket with no one around to touch anything. Stuff on the shelf by the kitchen area launched off the shelf again with no one around. This time bags and paper stuff. Boss's backpack fell off the counter in the front. The people in front later found his life insurance card and ID on the opposite end of where his backpack was nowhere near where they should have fallen. The creepier part with that is he needed those for a doctor's appointment he was going to. Déjà vu. Dreaming of something and then having it play out in real time. Trips me up every time. And there's still no real explanation for why it happens. Right, or why some days it takes a few days or not even 24 hours and it happens. But then sometimes years later you remember a dream you've had and bam, the déjà vu happens again. I get this all the time. Every time I have a dream or even a daydream of about me doing something or something random happening, I always disregard it, but then it always eventually happens. You better daydream you get rich then, broski. Not me, but a friend was changed by this experience with a poltergeist. He was playing on his solo Minecraft world a couple weeks ago, and he had 2 llamas near the house he was building. His wood didn't allow anyone to join, and he didn't have privileges on. Well, some invisible thing, not a potion, grabbed his llamas with a lead and started drowning the llamas in the river. My friend started swinging his sword at the ghost and it stopped and it ran away. He could tell because it was breaking grass as it ran. I know this actually happened cause he took a clip of it on Sparks. It was terrifying. This happened on my birthday party and I'm 100% convinced it was something out of this world. I was around 12 and I gathered some friends to summon ghosts or whatever. We sat around few candles and began summoning my dead close relative. We asked few questions, voice recording everything on friend's phone. After we ended, nothing special happened. We played the sound recording. Right after the question, "Are you here with us?" you could hear whisper-like voice saying, "I'm here." I would so much want to hear it again, but my friend got rid of the phone years ago. Forgot a word. The other night I came home from sneaking out to talk to a girl. I opened a heavy sliding door and took off my shoes. I heard a creak and watched the sliding door close. I was utterly baffled and was in shock. I'm 14 kid who is reasonably strong and had much trouble moving the door. My own father has much trouble getting out himself. I watched as it effortless shut quietly and locked itself. I ran to the door as it was shutting, looked out of the above window. Nothing there. I ran to my room in shock and sit there and overthought it. My sister and her family redid the house of the past parents and moved in. One evening night my nice 3 was standing in the living room and watching outside into the dark garden and waving, saying the word "bye grandma, bye." Well, it gave me the chills as well to my whole family. I got sleep paralysis 3 times in a row. The 3rd time, I don't know if it was a dream about me getting sleep paralysis or I'm actually in the state of paralysis. I saw this girl with bloodshot eyes and blood dripping from her mouth. When I was able to move, she disappeared. I was laying in bed one night. It's very hard for me to fall asleep, so it was at like 4:30 in the morning and I look over at my alarm clock and above and behind it, I was a pale face, but it didn't look like a human face, but more like a ferret. Never saw it again after that, still can't explain it. Okay, so like a few days ago, my bathroom door shut. I'm not 100% sure if anyone was there for sure cause I opened it seconds later. Also the lights went off right before that. I have heard something like an old person breathing for some reason. Man, my life is weird. The old man ghost pooper. Can't even get privacy in death. Chilling in an empty store, talking to my friend who works there, when all of a sudden the hat that was on display flew across the room. I mean, like it flew about 10 feet. There were no fans, no springs, just a shelf and a hat on it. Nobody else was there but me and him, and neither one of us was close enough to grab and throw it, but it flew almost between us. At around 3 p.m., I heard my mom calling me to help her do something around in the kitchen, but by the time I went into the kitchen, every cabinet was open, faucet was on, and the worst part was that I was home alone. I was so used to the fact my mom calling me at random times it never clicked to me. When my mom called me, I immediately left the house and went to the mall till someone was home. When I was 9 or 10, I lived in a farmhouse with my mom and younger brother. My mom and younger brother, who would have been about 2 at the time, slept in a bedroom on the main floor, and I slept in a bedroom on the upper floor. I was the only one who ever went upstairs, and even then, only when I went to bed. One night I was awoken by the toilet in the upstairs bathroom flushing. I closed my bedroom door and didn't sleep that night. I thought I heard the door handle to my bedroom being pulled several times. Being home alone at night, you get some good palpitations. Home alone watching TV upstairs, when I heated the door on, rattled vigorously. Not like my parents struggling with the lock, but like someone trying to open it angrily. I once played Charlie Charlie with my classmates 3rd grade, and after we finished chanting, the power went out. Everyone ran out of the classroom and I have no idea what was going on, but I ran out after my classmate.